Darkcast Network. The light shines brightest on our indie podcasts.
Warning, the following podcast may occasionally contain strong language and material that is not suitable for all ages. If you are easily offended, it is highly advised that you turn back now. However, if you're a degenerate, welcome, brethren. You've found your home.
Welcome to the Crime Diner. If this is your first time with us, we share stories of true crime, cults, mysteries, and a bunch of other things. Just random shit that we just find interesting.
Anything we think is fun and cool and interesting and horrifying.
But most of the time, they're good stories.
I think so.
Most of the time.
I think so.
That's convincing.
Good stories that terrify you and teach you a lesson.
That's right.
That's right. We do this within a Dinner with Friends theme. I'm Nidia.
I am Dana.
And I'm Cindy.
This is a special episode with a special guest. Dana, tell them how we came across this guest.
So I was laying in bed, as I do, scrolling through TikTok.
As we all do.
That's right. I come across a video of Sarah. We're going to post it on socials, but it is a TikTok of her surveillance cameras in her home, and her husband, ex-husband, is poisoning her.
Jesus Christ.
So I immediately was like, well, I have to watch every one of her videos. So I go to switch to her page and she's live. So I got to listen to her, you
You
live.
got to hear the wow.
Right.
Okay.
So this is my MO, just for any of you other podcasters trying to get cool guests. You sit in the live, right?
Show them all of your aces.
You sit in the live and you wait for like a lull in the conversation. And then you go, do you want to come on my podcast? And sometimes they answer and sometimes they don't. But she did, and she like immediately was like, I followed you so you can message me back.
Right.
You know, I talked with her and she's gonna tell us her story.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Because I went on and I saw her videos and I was just like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah,
Are
man.
you kidding me? Also, I'm like, what other things was he doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not proud of this, but I had a boyfriend who pissed me off.
Uh-oh.
I had a boyfriend who pissed me off. And, pissed me off, like he had it coming. But I took his toothbrush and I cleaned the underside of the freaking ridge of the toilet with it.
This is the most trifling thing ever.
And then I put the toothbrush back.
Oh my god, but you have to kiss him later if you forgive him.
No, we stopped kissing after that,
Okay.
what he did.
Okay, good. I think that's for the best.
I was just like, ugh.
Oh, that's like you get like trench mouth or something.
I don't know. I think all his teeth fell out. But, you know, it's funny because it's funny and it's not funny. But
It's not like haha funny.
No, it's not haha funny because I'm not proud of that.
Okay.
Like, I didn't feel good doing that to him.
I mean,
He had it coming, that fucking
that's
bastard.
fair. Yeah.
Anywho, but one thing that I do, when I was a little wee child, I was in charge of taking care of my cousin. And my cousin was a spoiled brat.
Are you looking at me?
What cousin?
No, it wasn't.
Like this cousin?
I mean, she always calls me the spoiled brat when she took care of me. So I'm like, fully
Okay.
like, is it me? Am I the drama?
I'm the oldest, and I have a lot of cousins, okay? So I'm not naming any cousin's name. But this cousin liked chocolate milk. And she would cry for chocolate milk, and I hated babysitting kids. So I would
Says
put...
the teacher.
Right. I would put... listen, I've changed. I would put salt in her chocolate milk.
Oh my god.
And years later, I came to find out that actually accentuated the flavor of the chocolate.
Yeah, right. Salt brings out the sweet flavor.
As you were saying that, I was like, salt actually works really well with chocolate. You were making that shit extra good, and she didn't know what was happening.
She's like, I get that fancy chocolate milk.
Like, I would put, like, salt in it, and then I would give it to her and, like, watch her, like, her reaction. Because I really
sociopath, bro.
I thought it was really going to affect her. She was going to hate it. But she loved it.
She's still a sociopath.
I just see your, like, just your forehead and your nose and your, like, 8 fingers, like, peeking around the corner, just creeping around the corner, watching her, like, drink her milk out of her sippy cup. And you're like, yes, my plan is coming together.
That was such a good visual. But yeah, it may have come down like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But she actually liked the chocolate milk.
Of course she
and liked
did.
the way that I prepared it. And I was just like, what the fuck? What's happening? And then years later, in my 20s, I think, I learned that salt brings out the flavor in chocolate. Go figure.
Go figure.
You know? But that was like the last time that I dabbled in poisoning.
I think that's really great. I'm really proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Growth.
Yeah, it's good.
But bro, when I saw her video, Sarah's videos, I was just like, that's a poison? You know, it's like we're gonna let her tell the story.
Yeah,
about,
right.
I was just like, holy shit.
So I will say, as of the moment of this recording,
Right.
she doesn't know specifically
Right.
what was being used to poison her. She has thoughts, and we're going to talk about that.
Right.
But the food that was poisoned, that we have like video evidence of him tampering with her food,
Right.
is like with the forensic unit like being tested currently
As we speak.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So, you know, she has her suspicions and
But-
her thoughts and her proof, but
Right. But talk about sleeping with the enemy, because she still lives with him.
no, not now. Maybe as the time of those
Right,
TikToks she did,
right.
but you'll see, she has a new boyfriend. She
Oh,
she
okay.
lives with her.
All right.
She has a new partner.
Jesus Christ.
No, she was living with him for a long time, and I think we'll get into that.
Yeah.
She'll tell
we'll let
us all
her
that.
tell. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, let's hear it from the lion's mouth, right? So we're going to hear her story. But first, the food. Let us pray. Bless us, O patrons, for these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy donations through Patreon every month. Under the power of the V
Podcast. Cult.
What do you think about Thanksgiving dinner?
Thanksgiving dinner. I mean, it was all of the browns.
Yes.
All of the browns, none of the colors.
That's right. It was a brown meal for sure.
It was potatoes. It was stuffing, and it was turkey.
Yep.
That's it.
And gravy. All of the browns.
Gravy. Yeah. We went to Brown Town.
I got tired of trying to feed y'all some greens and complaining.
Yeah, we don't care about that.
If it wasn't for this delightful white wine called Stefan Winter,
Which is also sort of brown and it's yellow.
I was just like, a lot of salt in this dish.
Oh, I thought it was perfect.
No, it was perfect. Like, I like a salty dish.
I love a salty dish. When I poured the gravy on, and I was like, ooh, yeah. It was nice and salty.
There's beads of sweat running down my fucking forehead.
It's a little toasty in here.
Yeah, this was the meal I didn't know I wanted.
Definitely.
And the high blood pressure I didn't know I wanted. But the
we definitely
wine,
want that.
the
Y'all are
wine,
assholes.
the wine is a Riesling. The right amount of sweet and tart
Love a Riesling.
to cut through the salt of the brown, very brown turkey dinner that we just had.
Fuck all the way off, y'all.
I loved it. I love Thanksgiving meals. Like, a Riesling's perfect with this meal. It is a little sweet. It's so good.
Yeah, cranberry sauce would have been great.
I know. I wish I would have had some.
I left
Yeah.
it at the house.
Bummer.
Yeah.
That would have been not brown thing on the
That
plate.
would have been the one not brown thing.
No, there are carrots in the stuffing, and they are pretty orange. So
I was really like digging through the stuffing for those, and my body was like, "Please, some nutrient."
can I have some? Can I have some more?
And as y'all know, I get bitched out every time I bring them some kind of vegetable. So there you go. I'm not. I can never win.
She's the only one complaining. Don't worry.
No, actually, I'm up there in age now. I've had some lab work done, and the lab work is like, "Bitch, you old. Stop it with that."
Now, to be fair, she had a cheesesteak before the lab work, so it's been questionable results.
Oh my god. The lab work came back and I was like, come again? My blood sugar was like, bitch, you're gonna lose a leg.
Her blood sugar was like, what number 2?
Oh, bitch, you must have had 2.
So I was just like, oh, I gotta make some changes in my diet.
I think you need second opinion. I'm going to stand behind that decision.
Yeah, but you are the wind beneath my sugary wings. And so every time I'm going for that, like, second helping that I really don't need,
I'm a supportive friend.
I hear your voice saying those lab results are not conclusive.
It's questionable lab work if I ever saw it.
Exactly. So I'm like, I don't need to take care of my health. Dana says so.
I am a certified doctor.
So I have a doctor's appointment coming up.
Ask
so,
the board of nursing.
So, yeah. Because, I mean, Dana is kind of a doctor. She's a massage therapist.
That's right. I'm certified by the board of nursing. It's got to stand for something.
That's got to stand for something
Yeah.
here, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
when I lose my eyesight to my sugar,
I think you're going to be fine.
hopefully.
I think you're going to be just fine.
Well, I mean,
Talking about sugar, we will be feeding you some sugar in a few minutes.
wait. A few episodes ago, I don't remember even how many episodes ago, I talked about ridges in my toenails, right?
Right.
And my boyfriend heard it, and he was like, wait, what? And he was like, let me see your toes. And he's like feeling around. He's
I hate
feeling my
this.
toenails. And he's like, oh, yeah, they're ridgy.
See, like, I got some wood to sand back here for you.
And so he was like, are you worried? And I'm like, no, I wear tight shoes. So that was the end of that.
Okay. So you think your shoe is just squeezing the toenail too tight?
Probably. I hope. That's what I'm hoping.
I don't know about ridges on your toenails. Now, I see feet literally every day. Some people got funky feet.
Ugh.
Some people got...
He apparently agrees.
Yes, it's true. He does have funky feet. He's a polydactyl cat. People got funky feet, man.
Really?
Funky.
Oh, God.
He is a motherfucker. And you're just like, bro, what are you doing?
And
Like,
they don't smell it? They don't sense it? They don't apologize for it?
I don't mean like the smell of them. Most people's feet don't smell.
Oh, okay.
Actually. I mean like the
Okay.
way they look.
Oh.
Like, I mean, sometimes they're like fucking atrocious.
Oh.
And sometimes most of the time they're not. Like, most of it's like fine, right? Like their
Right,
feet, who cares?
right.
But like sometimes you're just like, bro, you knew you were getting a massage. You funked your ass all over town in these Uggs with no socks on.
Oh, no.
With these motherfucking toenails that are like 6 inches thick. They're like so thick. And you're like, sir, see a doctor.
See, that's not my situation. Like, I have pretty neat... Like,
But I
they're
feel like they have
nice
to
feet.
start out rigid. Like, they have to start out like a little bit funky, where you're
This
just like,
was my first experience with what the fuck is happening to my feet.
Yeah.
This was my first experience.
Yeah.
So it was off-putting. Because, like, normally my feet are pretty nice. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, they're nice feet.
Yeah, they're fine.
not gross.
yeah.
No ingrown toenails,
Oh,
none of
God.
that, right?
Yeah. That's more problematic for yourself, not for anyone else.
Yeah,
They
but
hurt.
and my feet not like unusually sweaty or anything like
Yeah.
that. So I've never had like that problem. But like, girl, I was just like, ooh, this is different.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, like, people are just like, I don't know how you touch people's feet all day. And like, honestly, it's 90% of the time it's fine. Like,
You have to rub people's feet?
bitch, what?
I just never.
What do you think I
thought
do
you
for
were
a
just
living?
strictly doing the back. You have to do the feet too.
What do you mean? You just think I give back massages?
Yes,
Hold on.
like literally.
How long has it been since you've had a massage? Didn't you just recently go and have a massage done?
He didn't touch my feet. He did my hands. He did
Then
my
he
back.
fucked up.
Where
He
did
didn't
you...
touch my feet.
Oh, baby.
In Costa Rica. That was the last time. Like, that was like literally years
Did
ago.
you tell him not to touch your feet? Is that
No.
why? Because
It was
they
my
should've
one and
touched
only
your feet.
massage.
Oh, honey.
It was my one and only massage.
that's-
I remember that was
sad.
your first massage.
Yeah.
No, you got to go get a real massage. I mean, I'll do it, but I don't really want to, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Not that I, like, wouldn't give you a massage. If you really wanted me to, I would. I just don't want to work outside of the time that I have to actually
Yeah,
work.
I mean, honestly, speaking of which,
if you want to come to my job.
would pay her.
I know, but I don't want to. I just truly don't want to.
I follow a TikTok account. He's some type of Middle Eastern. At the risk of being offensive because I'm ignorant, I just don't know where he's from, but he has like a Middle Eastern accent.
Okay.
And he advocates for doing the bare minimum.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking
And
about.
it's almost like
someone shared that in our group.
fucking anti-guru.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's like, be mediocre. Do
mean,
as little work as you possibly
Right.
can. Yes.
Leave at the end of your shift.
Yeah.
tell those your boss if he sends an after work email to shove it right up his ass. But he does it with like this like
soft
guru
yes,
accent, and I live for it.
It's very like a monk.
Yes,
like he has that like, but he's just wearing regular clothes. He's not wearing monk clothes, but. Or like robes or anything. I don't know what monks wear, but he's just wearing like regular jeans.
Well,
and
the Dalai Lama also wears regular clothes sometimes. Yes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he's just, but he's like in these like waterfalls are behind him, and it's so fucking funny. And he's just like, "Fuck off, do nothing, do the very least that you possibly can." And it's like all this music behind it. Yeah, I love that.
And you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing that sets him aside from anybody else. A lot of people that say, do the bare minimums, blah 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 blah. But he does it in such a way that makes sense to you and your mental health and the universe itself.
Definitely.
Because he's like, in the big scheme of things, working hard only makes someone else rich.
That's right.
Not you.
That's right.
And so it really resonates with me.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in teaching, which is different. That's a more altruistic thing.
Right.
It's different. But if you are in corporate America, if you're working for a bank, if you're working for... not in medicine. Please do your best in medicine.
Right. When you're talking about educating children, medicine,
right,
like
things that work for the betterment of the community, right? Like do your best, obviously.
Civil servants, things like that.
Right, civil servants and things that benefit a community. Cindy.
I mean, I would think that you like do your very best because you care about your job and you care about your community. But like me...
People who work for corporate America, just do the fucking...
I don't work for corporate America.
Do 1%.
I mean, not everybody, right? But like most of the people that I see are like on vacation and they're very entitled and they have lots of money and they spend lots of money. And it makes me want to, like, I die a little bit inside a little bit each day. Just a little, just a tiny bit.
So basically what you're saying is that this guy that gave you the massage in Costa Rica,
he did 1%.
Followed this guru's advice and did not rub your feet.
Well, he
did not do the 100%. He did 98%.
He may have rubbed my feet. It's not what I remember. My takeaways from that day was he rubbed my hands. He massaged my hands, and that was hands down, no pun intended, the most amazing thing that I have ever felt.
Yeah, hands, feet, and head are the best part. Yeah.
That hands were all of that.
Now, what I think probably happened is when you were getting the foot massage, that's when you were listening to the people speak in Spanish.
About horse? Yeah. About the horse meat?
Yeah. So I think that's probably why you were distracted, because the people were talking about potentially eating horse meat by mistake.
It was a horse meat food truck in Costa Rica. And one of the massage therapists thought that she had eaten horse meat.
Right.
No, well, she didn't know. She's like, oh my God, I had the best sandwich over by the food truck. And she was like, oh, that guy, the other girl, was like, oh, that guy sells horse meat. And she was like, get the hell out of here. No, he wasn't. And no, it wasn't. And she was like, yeah, that's horse meat. And she was like, damn, I ate horse meat. And that was the whole conversation. It was more involved than that. And I think I talked about it on Patreon. But dude, like,
that's probably what happened. You were distracted by that, because she comes back from the massage, never had a massage before, and I'm like, how was it? And she's like, someone's selling horse meat on this island. I'm like, bitch, what? I'm like, that has nothing to do with the massage. What are you talking about?
Yeah, because I mean, I was the only one that spoke Spanish. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so Russ and
didn't
David
realize she spoke Spanish.
Yeah, we're by a beachside like fucking massage tent, right? Yeah. And it's me, my boyfriend, and my son all getting massages. And the conversation that's happening between my son's massage therapist, which was a female, and my boyfriend's massage therapist, which was a female, they were having a constant conversation the entire time. My guy was a male, and he was quiet the whole time.
Yeah.
Benefits of the male.
Yeah.
And he was firm but delicate, and it was my first massage. So while they're getting massage, I'm listening to their conversation, trying not to laugh, but jiggling on the table because I'm laughing and trying to hold it in. But it was too fucking funny. So then when we're walking back to the hotel across the beach, from the tents, feeling relaxed as hell, by the way, a hand massage is quite the thing. It's
amazing, yeah.
Which David to this day asks me to massage his hands.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's like the one thing that soothes him when he's like feeling really anxious and upset.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we were walking back to the hotel, and Russ goes, what were they talking about? And I told him, and he fell out laughing.
We were laughing about that. That was 6 years ago, and we're still laughing about that.
That was 6 years ago? That was a long time
Coming
ago.
up on, yeah.
Jesus.
5 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of other things that feel great.
Yeah.
Meditation. Dude, I listen to a TikTok. A lot of conversations that we start are TikToks. If you're not on TikTok, you're missing out, honestly. They're 1 minute informational pieces. Truly. Honestly. I mean, depending on where you go with TikTok. Obviously, there's stupid dances and all that other shit. But so I follow mental health specialists and things like that. And so I also read a book called The Deepest Well that I fucking swear by.
Yeah.
And it's about stress and how stress will kill you, even in childhood. You know what I mean? How stress in childhood, in early childhood, leads to asthma, fucking all these kinds, ADHD, just all kinds of freaking things, psoriasis and everything, and will actually shorten your lifespan. So anyway, long story short, I started to seek out ways to reduce my stress because I realized that I had childhood traumas that are still staying with me and affecting my health, right? So she talks about, in the book, she talks about how meditation is a thing to mitigate some of that, stress and everything, to learn how to practice mindfulness and blah, blah. And it's amazing, right? So I went on TikTok, I deep dove into that, and it talks about how powerful meditation is in healing your fucking, not only your mental health, and helping you cope with stress, but also in healing you, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, that seems like very flower child, but whatever. It's free to try it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have this Oculus, and David turned me onto it. There's this app on the Oculus, Facebook owns it or whatever. Uh-huh. So I had bought one with the stimulus check. So David had shown me it, and it's called Trip, right? So it is this fucking all-encompassing thing, because you put the Oculus on your face and it just like blocks out all natural light. It blocks everything out, and you're fully immersed in this 3-dimensional thing, right? And so I've been meditating with that every day for 20 to 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It has been insane. I had really bad insomnia where I was waking up in the middle of the night. It was driving me crazy. I thought I was going to lose my mind. And I don't want to take any kind of medication.
Yeah, right.
So,
your sugar's high. You can't do that.
Right. Fuck you. So I started doing the meditation, and I'm fucking sleeping through the night.
I love that for you. Are you doing it right before bed?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's fucking helping me so much. And I just... Before you try any medication, anything like that, try meditation.
Spend $100 on an Oculus.
No, I think it's like $299. But even if you can't afford
hundreds of dollars.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's like a couple $100. But even if you can't afford that, meditation really does have free. Merit.
Sure, certainly, yeah.
It really does.
I wish I could meditate, and I'm sure I could if someone showed me how to really do it. But I am I am the fucking dog from Up. I'm like, squirrel. If a sound of something, my thoughts will super trail. And I know that's the point of meditation is to learn how to turn that off.
Yes.
It's just so hard for me to do.
I couldn't do it without the Oculus. Yeah. I couldn't.
But I've heard that guided meditation, because people do have that problem like me and you where we're easily distracted.
Yeah.
Guided meditation helps a lot for those people because somebody's walking you through those steps and speaking to you.
That's
so
what
you're
this
following
is.
That.
So
that's what the Oculus is.
I know I talk about this podcast I listen to when I fall asleep all the time. Right. It's called Scare Me to Sleep. But she does this thing. She calls it a guided nightmare. And it's so good. She's like, she wants you to put headphones in both ears.
Oh, okay.
So, like, normally I just listen to it in the room, but she says for these, she wants you, because she does, like, both-sided sounds. Like, they play from both sides. She does all the sound effects. She does it all by herself. She's, like, my, like, hero editing person. Like, I want to, get to be as good as her. She writes these stories of these, like, guided meditations, but they're guided nightmares. So she'll like first be like, take some deep breaths in and do this and blah blah blah, and then like a few minutes after that, like of like take breaths in and let your toes release in your head, whatever, all that shit. And then she'll be like, what was that sound? And then you'll like hear something in the background, and she'll be like, did I leave the TV on? No, you turn the TV off. And like it fucking it's so good. It's so freaky, but it's so good, and it's so like you should try to check it out. It's so good. It's and so she's done a bunch of them. It used to be on her Patreon, but now it's on her live feed. And she played them all back to back, and each story lines up with the next one if you listen to them in a row. And it's just like a couple hours of like these stories just like leaning up to each other. It's real creative. It's really, really, really good. It's called Scare Me to Sleep. Or Scare You to Sleep. It's called Scare You to Sleep. It's so good. But anyway, you should check that out. Do you want to have dessert?
Yes.
All right.
Let's do that.
Let's go for it.
This fucking pie. This pie has my stomach putting pressure on my lungs.
Did we say what it was?
It was a fucking pumpkin pie.
It's a pumpkin pie.
It was a creamy ass pumpkin pie.
It's putting pressure on your lungs? Is that what you said?
My stomach is so filled. Okay, so we had all of the brown parts of a turkey meal. Then immediately had a pie.
A brown pie.
A brown fucking pie. Floating in some white stuff that Cindy claims is melted Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
Also, you know what? Maybe it's the fact that I didn't buy the name brand Cool Whip, and maybe that's why it became liquid so quickly.
It's the DG Cool Whip.
For 2 days in a row, Cindy has come back with a sloppy-ass dessert that had melted Cool Whip all over the place. And I'm like, are you waiting for the dessert to cool down, or are you just plopping the Cool Whip on it? Because it's a fucking puddle of oily, melted marshmallow shit.
Oily?
Yeah, because isn't that oily?
It's creamy. It's not creamy. It's just, it's creamy.
It's creamy. It's not creamy.
No. I understand that it's creamy. And I don't get the oil sensation, but isn't that made out of oil?
No, it's just cream, like cream. Aerated cream and a little cream of tartar.
Well, is that what it is?
Yeah, usually.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know any of that. So
I thought it was like mostly oil.
No, I don't think there's any oil.
Oh, okay.
The flavor was there, certainly. So you said it was a no-bake pumpkin pie?
No bake pumpkin pie, the regular graham cracker crust, and then there was a layer of cream cheese and Cool Whip mix in the first layer, and then it was topped off with a mixture of pudding and pumpkin and spices.
Interesting.
And then the top layer was Cool Whip.
Cindy gave you a gigantic piece.
She gave me a huge piece, and I had a huge plate of dinner, so I couldn't even eat the whole thing.
So, yeah, and you haven't been doing that lately. But I told Cindy, I said, hey, don't give me a big piece. But she gave me a gigantic piece.
She can't help herself.
I fucking made it disappear.
Did you? Well, that's probably why your diaphragm's all like smushed in there. Like
it definitely is. I'm having trouble breathing.
Yeah. That's your diaphragm, actually, not your lungs.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well...
All right, Dana the medic. Oh my God, speaking of medics, tell me why did I download CB Radio app?
Why?
All right, well, we were at the birthday party earlier, and I don't know how the conversation steered to this, but Russ was like, oh, you can actually get a CB radio, like for your house. Phone. And I said, okay, everybody put this on your Christmas list for me. I really want a CB radio.
Yeah.
And, to listen to like whatever emergencies or whatever. So,
those are two different things. CB radio and like police.
No, a police scanner.
Okay,
that's what you want, right?
Okay.
So, I'm like, yes, I want a police scanner.
Oh, Christ. That's the last thing you need.
Okay, I thought I needed that, right? So Russ was like, oh, you don't have to wait till Christmas or a holiday. You can just download the app. So he downloaded the app, and then I was listening to fucking CB radio shit I've been listening to that, for today. And I was just like, yeah.
It's annoying as shit.
No, the level of anxiety was through the roof. Because every time a phone call, call would come in, I'm like, oh my God, did somebody get hurt?
Yeah.
You know? So I found out that there was a fire alarm at Longhorn today.
Oh no.
A 55-year-old male fell and hurt his knee.
Oh no.
I was just like, yeah, I don't need this right now.
No, definitely no.
Definitely no. But it was the thing that I thought I needed.
Yeah.
And, no.
When we were little kids, my uncle drove a 18-wheeler or something. He drove a big truck. We always called it an 18-wheeler.
Right.
But it had this long flatbed on the back.
Okay.
That I guess he would, like, haul his things. And in the truck part where you drove, it was, like, the front seat and the passenger seat and then, like, a curtain. And there was, like, a bed back there that he would, like, pull off on the side of her to sleep, I guess. Maybe he was, like, a long-haul trucker. I don't fucking know what they're called. But he had a CB radio in there. And so our parents would, like, have parties or whatever. And they would be like, go outside and play, Like, go outside. Go away from us. So we would go out and play on the flatbed. And then we would get in the truck when no one was looking. And we would get on the CB radio.
My God.
And we would be like, breaker, breaker, boobs, breaker, breaker. Shit.
Try out all the
curse words. And they'd be like, get off this radio, kid. Sometimes they'd talk back to us and stuff, but we like, and I was like obsessed with Pee-wee and like Large Marge and like whatever. God. I was like obsessed with that back then. So I was like always trying to be like, is this Large Marge? Tell him Large Marge said
Remember the year that me and Russ dressed up as Pee-wee Herman and Large Marge?
Yeah.
So my boyfriend was Large Marge and he made the mask of the Large Marge, like when she reveals herself as the ghost. Yeah. And he made it out of paper mache. That shit was like fucking epic, right?
It was so good.
And so he was Large Marge and I was Pee-wee. And there's still video coverage of that. Because I think Danny, Cindy's wife, Danny, recorded me doing the, what's that dance called?
The dance.
The
Pee-wee
tequila.
Dance.
Tequila.
Yeah. So, and that was a lot of fun.
So fun. I did that dance at a wedding when I was a flower girl when I was like 6 years old.
Did you?
My cousin was the ring bearer and he must have looked like Pee Wee Herman. He had like a little gray suit on. And I was like doing the Pee Wee Herman dance like a little kid. Anyway, good times.
Good times.
All right, let's get to this TikTok story.
Yes. Can't wait.
We have to talk about our show.
Okay.
Who are we and what do we do?
I am Martha Madrigal.
And I'm Charles Tyson Jr. We are the hosts of Full Circle, the podcast. You are a beautiful white trans woman.
I will take that. Of a certain age. And you are a gorgeous black cis pan man who has shared my life for 10 years.
And we're engaged. I put a ring on it.
Yeah, you did put a ring on it. It's a pretty ring, too.
Now we have a podcast.
Yeah, there's not much we don't talk about here.
It's true. We talk about LGBTQ issues, headlines of the day. We talk about fun things, too, like movies and music and television and pop culture.
Mm-hmm. And we talk about what it is to be black in America and what it is to be trans in America and how those things intersect and collide. And
child, it gets interesting. And you can check us out every Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts. Because once again, we're Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal, and this is Full Circle, the podcast.
Are we done now?
I think so.
Okay.
Today we're speaking with Sarah. Her TikTok captured Dana's attention, and Dana was like, hey, you got to check this TikTok out. And of course, whenever Dana shares a TikTok with us, we go right on over to that. And what we saw was like, holy shit. It's a thing of nightmares for me.
Truly.
Because I don't want people to fuck with my food.
No.
And I've pissed off some people, so.
And also, as far as, we'll get into the TikTok, and we're going to share the TikTok on our socials so you can see what we saw. But when you fuck with someone's food, when it's someone that you trust, like with your, that you should be able to trust with your life, it's fucking scary.
Right. And of course, this is all alleged.
Right.
Alleged. Because what we see on video can be interpreted many ways, right?
But not that I'm aware of, but yeah.
But Sarah is going to tell us her version of events, and I can't wait to hear the full story.
Sarah, so I'm scrolling on TikTok in bed as I do, and I come across your video. And so I'm just going to describe the video a bit. It's a hidden camera. You can tell it's a hidden camera, I'm assuming from your living room, maybe?
Yeah, I hid it in a box in my dining room, actually across the kitchen.
And you see her husband put something in her food. And we're going to like build up to what like happened and you know, everything that happened after. But she was live when I saw the video. So of course I jump on the live and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm just like listening to everything she's saying because, you know, people are asking all of the questions that we're probably going to ask and whatever. And she's just like answering them. And so I reached out to see if she wanted to share her story. So you guys were together a long time, right?
Yeah, we were together 12 and a half years. We were married almost 4.5 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is a long time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You think you know somebody at that point.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
But based on the relationships that I've had, after 7 years, I'm pretty much done. Stick a fork in me, stick a fork in him. We pretty much hate each other. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have called it quits like a year into it, but you know, sometimes you like to be stubborn and stick things out. So yeah, I was done. I just kept going.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Persistence is key, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You know, you got to learn somehow, I guess.
You always go, well, we've been together so long. We got to keep trying. And you start with that at the 1 year mark. And then you look back at 7 years later and you're like, what the fuck did I do?
Yeah.
You know,
That was it exactly. Yeah.
Understand that.
God, how do we break
thinking.
that habit? Because that's truly like when I was with my ex, I'm like, but we've been together 10 years. Then we've been together 15 years. You're like, God, I should have left 10 years ago. That's so stupid.
It's the damn baby boomers. They tell us that we throw everything out. And
You're 100. It's like divorce isn't an option and it's the worst thing in the world you can do. And it's like, okay, so let me just go marry a psychopath instead. Like that's a great option. Yeah, no, I feel you. I don't know how we break it.
I'll be honest with you. I've never seen somebody worse on the other end of a divorce. Like every person I've met that's divorced, they're just like, I feel so much better. You're like, yeah, definitely. So let me ask you, when did you guys meet? How did you guys meet?
So I moved out to Michigan from Washington State in January of 2009. I graduated high school in June of 2008. So I was fresh out of high school. Moved out here in January of 2009. Got a job in February of 2009 at the Detroit airport and met him that February. And then we just started talking, became friends, and started dating that April. And by May, I had essentially moved in with him. So like 4 weeks seemed long enough for me, I guess. And he was living with his parents in their basement. So listen, I'm going to make you think real low of me throughout this story because there's a lot of things that I should have said like, ooh, let's not do that with our lives. But yeah, so he was 8 years older than me. So I was 18, he was 26. He was living at home with his parents in their basement. His reasoning was because it saved money, which sure, but you're 26, so that's fine. And then I moved in with him. And
did you move into his mom's basement or did you guys get a place?
No, we moved into his parents' basement because I had just started dating this guy. So why would I actually get a place with him? You know, why not move into his parents' basement with him and save money?
Also, it saves money.
I hear it saves money.
Save on rent, save on food, save on groceries, like save on everything. And she would still, I mean, he would come home from work every night and she would have a plate of food in the microwave for him. And, mom just took really great care of him. Me, I was left to fend for myself. But
oh, damn.
Yeah, I think 2 years into the relationship, I finally said, it's time for us to grow up. We need to go get our own place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was right after I turned 21 and he agreed to get an apartment with me only because I said, if we don't take this next step, then I'm just going to go by myself and take this next step and you have a nice life. So,
right. Mm-hmm. We should count the red flags. As we go along.
We should take a shot every time a red flag comes up.
Yeah. And we can't take a shot because we'd already be drunk. But
for sure.
Yes, sadly, yes.
Yeah. But now I will give you this out. You were a baby. That's like, yes. That's a small, tiny baby that just got out of high school that, you just make the worst fucking decisions when you're that age.
Yeah. And I wasn't like allowed to date in high school, and which I feel like had I been allowed to date and learn what I like and don't like and how to stand up for myself, I don't think I would have been in the situation I got myself into. But not only that, but I thought very low of myself. I was not in the best place mentally. And then here comes this guy who's, you know, older than me. He's an older man, and he's got a job, and he's, you know, seems to be really caring and loving and giving. And I like those memes that say, ladies, if a man 10 years older than you comes to you and says women his age are just boring, they're not boring. They're just not putting up with this shit anymore. And so it's true. Like, I don't think an age difference is a huge red flag, but 18 and 26, that's a red flag. Like, if you want to be 35 and whatever, 43, go for it. But 18 and 26, that should have been a big stopper for me.
It's still such a tender age difference, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in that, you're right. Like, if you're 50 and 40, like, who cares? You know, like, you've lived your life, you've had experiences, people learn and have lessons. But when you're, like, that, like, little, you know, you just don't know anything about the world at that point. And someone who is 26 does know a lot more about the world. Like, it is just what...
Right. These younger generations, too.
Oh, get out of here.
These younger generations. You know what? It used to be that, like, years ago, 18-year-old and a 26-year-old had a lot more in common than they do now. You know what I mean? The 18-year-olds now are mentally younger, I think, than like it's more categorical. You know what I mean? Like the 20-something-year-olds belong in a category. The 18-year-olds still belong in that 19, maybe 20, 17, you know, that group.
I mean, I think we're still being very, like, broad strokes here because, like, of course there are really young kids who've had, like, crazy life experiences that, like, grow up a lot faster, and maybe had that been your case, you know, or, like, I was talking to my dad recently, and I was saying to him that, like, my parents struggled, like, you know, they were poor when I was a kid, but I didn't know because they, like, really did a great job of, like, hiding it from me. And I was telling him, like, I think that was actually, like, a detriment to me because it made me seem like everything would be fine. Like, if I made the same mistakes that you guys made, it's going to be fine because, look, you turned out fine. Like, I didn't know how hard they were struggling, you know?
Right. Looking at your experience, Sarah, you're 18 and he's 26 living at home. They're kind of on par of that same level of maturity.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a red flag.
Well,
in that sense that he should have had that level of maturity to be like, oh, you're moving out here, let's get a place now that you're moving out here, almost fairly immediately. Especially be ready for that.
But it sounds like she was more mature than him because she was willing to move into somebody else's place where he wasn't. He still wanted his mom to take care of him.
I don't, because I throw in there. I learned like a month into dating him that he was on probation for his second DUI.
Oh.
That's why he didn't drive, but he was still drinking heavily. So like red flags 10 and 11.
The not driving is a big red flag.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I guess it depends on where you live in the country, but that's a big red flag.
So are we at 3 red flags right
We're
now?
at least at 5, I think. Living at home still, which is like, it could be a, you know, like it depends on the, you know, if my kid is in college or whatever, or he's working to save up to buy a house or what, you know, if there's reasons to live at home, like I totally get that. Like I understand to save money, whatever, but
I'm going to be honest. You know, my parents went and bought another house and let me live in the house that I grew up in. They just couldn't kick me out.
Squatters' rights.
So they moved. So we get it.
Yeah, so like, you know, but the age difference, the drinking, the DUI, like that's, you know.
So you guys move into your own place 2 years later. Tell me what that's like.
That's kind of when like things started. I don't know if they were, they were just progressing. So about a year into the relationship when he was still drinking, he physically attacked me and I didn't even call the police. He threw me out of the house and the neighbors had to call the police. And so that was my first like negative experience with the cops. This all ties in, I swear. But that should have been like, I don't know why I still wanted to move in with him after. So a year after that experience is when we moved into our own place. We moved into our own place in March 2012. So it was like 2.5, 3 years, March of 2012. By that June, my birthday is at the end of May. So I had gone out. He didn't like to go out with me and my friends because they were so much younger and immature. Okay, well, that's fine. So we went out for my birthday. And I got completely drunk because it was my birthday. I got dropped off at home. I come home and he is completely drunk. And I was like, cool. So the next day was Father's Day. It was a Saturday night. So Sunday was Father's Day. And he woke me up at I don't know, 3 a.m. So I'd had like a good 20 minutes of sleep and said, take me to my dad's house. Well, his dad lived an hour and a half away. And I said, it's 3 a.m. No, like I need to sleep, sober up a little bit, give me a few hours, and then I'll take you. And he said, well, if you don't take me, I'm taking myself. And I was like, you are more drunk than I am. Give me a few hours, let me sleep, and then I'll take you. And so we moved in March, April, May, June. This is 3 months into living in our new place, getting settled in. I woke up later that morning and he was gone. I had no idea where he was at. I was like, all right, that's fine. So I thought maybe he went for a walk. I didn't know what he did. I get a call from an 800 number several hours later. No, his stupid ass got in the car, drove, and got pulled over for his third DUI.
Oh my God.
Yeah, got himself thrown in jail. So he was calling me to come bail him out. I was like, it's Sunday, it's Father's Day. I can't, like, nobody's open. So I'm panicking. I'm 21. I have no idea what to do. He has gotten himself in this mess. So his sister's calling me because he called her and she's like, well, what are you going to do about it? And I'm like, what are you going to do about it? Like, you've been through this with him twice now. I don't understand. Like, I don't know. So I drove out, bailed him out, and we went through the next several months of court processes. So he essentially lost his job because of it. He got arrested again because he went to go renew his badge at work for the airport. You have to go through these background checks. Well, his third DUI meant it was a felony charge in the state of Michigan. And so I don't understand. I think his lawyer fucked it up somewhere, but didn't tell him that he needed to turn himself in for the felony charge portion of it. So they arrested him at the airport. So I'm standing there waiting for him to come out from renewing his badge, and he comes out in handcuffs. And I'm like, the fuck did you do? Like, are you kidding me right now? So I had to go bail him out yet again from the jail that's an hour and a half away because they transported him out to where he got arrested. By that December, he finally got sentenced to 3 months in jail. Living together was not everything it was supposed to be. Like, we weren't able to start a life. We weren't able to have this great time. I had gotten the apartment thinking that we would have 2 incomes. And because he lost his job, it was all on me. And my income was not enough to cover everything. So I spent once a week, I would drive an hour and a half out to go visit him in jail. He did 3 months. He got out on good behavior. And when I picked him up, I told him, I said, I'm not doing the drinking anymore. It's me or the alcohol. You need to get your life together. Like, you're too old to be doing this. And he, in the jail parking lot, said, it's you. Take me home. And so his parents had a house out there. We went and stayed there for the night. And he did stay sober from there on. But again, it's a felony charge. So then we come back to real life and we have to deal with, oh God, it was like 2 years of probation. He lost his license. The state refuses to give it back to him. He's got to pay all of these fees. And I, again, am still the only income for us. So it was a struggle. But I was raised in a strict church home. And so I have these values in this back of my head that are, you need to stick it out. You need to be there for them. You need to try everything you can do, because now we've been together for 3.5, almost 4 years. And so in my mind, I was thinking, if he's going to prove to me that he's going to actually change and get on this positive path and not go back to drinking and be a better person, then why wouldn't I stick it out? And so he did for a while. He stayed sober. As far as I know, to this day, he's sober. He'll be 10 years sober in June. So
that's good.
If he gets credit for anything, he gets credit for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the only thing he gets credit for. I had this image of how great moving in and having my first apartment with somebody would be and living with my boyfriend would be. And it was horrible, because even the first 3 months when he was there, he was consistently drunk. At least when we lived with his parents, he respected his dad enough to not be a complete asshole. But when we didn't live with his parents weren't there to help me, like, control him and manage him when he was drinking. And it was a very interesting experience. Yeah.
Sarah, what was your family saying about all this?
They were not happy about it at all. So I don't have a relationship with my dad. I cut him off. He was really abusive to me growing up, which kind of explains the mentality of where I was at. But my mom was not thrilled with my decision. But I'm a middle child and I'm a Gemini, so you can't tell me anything. So I'm going to do what I'm going to do. My mom and my sister have both always said, like, we can't tell Sarah what to do. We have to let her figure it out and just be there for her when she figures it out. My little brothers were too young to really understand what was going on at the time. My sister was also in a really shitty relationship, so she didn't have time to focus on me and my shitty relationship. Anytime my mom would say anything, my ex would just be like, oh, well, she just doesn't like me because she's jealous of our relationship. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. Because my mom was dating and my mom was not in a steady relationship herself. And so, you know, he just, oh, well, she's just jealous of what we have. Everybody's just jealous of what we have. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Because what you had was so great.
He doesn't drive. He's got this drinking problem. I mean, he's a great catch. Why wouldn't she be jealous?
This is like now year 4, right? You guys are not married at this point.
Nope.
So you took all that, you wrapped that turd, put a nice bow on it, and then you said, I do.
Yeah.
No judgment, because I've totally been there, honey.
Yeah. Also, so have I.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
So if you've ever dated somebody with addiction, dating them sober is much different than dating them when they're active in their addiction.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so while we had dated for so long, I felt like I was dating somebody completely new and relearning him sober and learning how to do things sober, because now we couldn't go to the bars. We couldn't go to restaurants that were focused on serving alcohol. We couldn't go bowling because that's where he would drink. We couldn't go to the pool hall because that's where he would drink. So he was sober for like a year and a half, 2 years. And then he proposed. And all I've ever wanted is this big, beautiful wedding. And like, I got along well with his family for the most part. And, you know, when you're with somebody that long, that's just what you do. You just go get married. Right? Like,
right. Yeah.
Why waste all of that time? Why waste anybody's time being with somebody that long if you're not going to go get married? So he proposed. He gave me the beach proposal that I've always wanted on a pier, private with us. So he paid attention to that. And I said yes. And within 12 hours, I had my date picked out. And he proposed going in 2016, May of 2017. We were married. And it was a disaster. It was so bad. My thoughts, my everything. So my best friend from Washington State had flown in for my wedding. She stood at my wedding and she wanted me to spend the night with her and her mom. I was really close with her mom. Her mom took me in when I was homeless and fresh out of high school. And so I'm really close with her mom. And they wanted me to come stay at the hotel with them the night before the wedding, you know, because traditions, the bride and groom don't see each other until the wedding day. And he threw such a fit and said, if you don't come home with me tonight, I'm not showing up at the altar. And I should have said, okay, bye. Have a great life. Like, what was wrong with me wanting to spend the night with my best friend who was in town from out of state that I haven't seen in years? Okay. There was a lot of fighting up until the wedding. My little brother was living with me for several months before the wedding. And at one point, my ex said, we need a prenup. And I was like, why? Like, you don't have anything. I had bought a house in my name. Everything was in my name before we were married. I'm the only one with a job because, mind you, he still hasn't gotten a job since he lost his job from his DUI.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, real winner. But he kept making promises, right? Like, oh, well, once we get settled into the new house and, you know, the wedding's over, you know, I don't want to get a job before the wedding because then I have to ask for time off for the honeymoon and the wedding and everything like that. And I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like, there was just a logical or valid excuse. Leading up to the wedding, he was joking that he was not going to show up to the altar and, you know, he wasn't going to be there to marry me or whatever. He would get really spiteful and say, I'm going to say no when they ask me, you know, if I marry you.
What a weird thing to say.
To hold over somebody's head. When you literally bring nothing to the table.
Also, the prenup sounds like it would have benefited you.
Yeah, really.
So my brother remembers this fight so much because he was sitting on the couch right there. And I remember him looking at me funny. I was like, what's wrong with your face? My ex walked out and he's like, Sarah, like, why don't you get the prenup? Like that would help you. And I was like, well, we're not going to get divorced. Like, what's the point of a prenup if you're not going to get divorced? Yeah. Because divorce wasn't an option in my head. Like, I was going to get married and we were going to be married forever. And that's how it was going to be. And I just thought it was the stupidest thing. I was insulted that he wanted a prenup. And now I'm like, Sarah, you're an idiot because like you just lost a shit ton of money because you didn't get a prenup. So my brother walked me down the aisle. My best friend drove me I wasn't allowed to have a limo because why would I spend money on myself when it doesn't benefit me?
Oh my God.
So my best friend drove me to the wedding venue. And to this day, she's like, Sarah, I should have kept driving. She's like, I shouldn't have dropped you off. She feels really guilty. And I'm like, there is nothing you could have done. Everybody in my life has said, we should have said something. We should have done something. And I'm like, you couldn't have told me any different.
No.
It would have ruined our relationship. Like I needed to learn. I just appreciate that you were there. And so I remember I was getting ready in like the back room at the venue. And my brother came out there and to like walk me down the aisle. And I was just like, is he at the altar? And he goes, yeah, he is. And I remember feeling disappointed. Like I was hoping that he hadn't showed up because we got into a huge fight the morning of.
Of course.
Yeah. And I was like, shit. And my brother, he's like, are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, well, it's too late now. He's like, no, it's not. He's like, I was like, no, literally everybody's there. People flew in from out of state. My uncle drove up here from freaking Mexico to be at the wedding. Like, I was like, there's too many people that are expecting this. Too many people have invested too much money. I paid for the entire wedding. Shocker. I was like, I have too much money invested in this. Like, I'm not going to lose all of that. And he was like, you can sit, like, we can go right now. We can leave. And I was like, nope, let's go.
Sarah, I have so much to say about this.
Me too.
Go for it.
I got married when I was 18 and I had those same exact ideas. I was like, I don't want to do this the day of. And I was like, I have to do this because like all these people are depending on me and what a failure I would be. And I was 18, you know what I mean? So many years later now, I'm not going to say my age, but I'm like, my God, my life would have been completely different had I just walked away and given them the show of a lifetime. Yeah. I could have just been like, no, and hired somebody to walk in and say, I still love you, whatever. And created some kind of freaking story for all these guests to go home with as a gift, right? But the fact that you said that nobody could have told you otherwise because you needed to learn this lesson. Yeah. So many people don't say that.
Yeah. I just know myself, and I, over the last several years, have invested time in learning the way I think and learning what's normal, what's not normal, what's a trauma response, what's not. And I am a very stubborn person, and you can't tell me different. I got a job at 13 years old. I started paying my own bills at 14 years old. I have always depended on myself, and I've learned that I can only depend on myself. If you tell me something's hot and spicy, I'm still going to eat it. Like, if you tell me that there's something big and green in the sky and it's going to kill you, like I'm going to look outside and see what's big and green in the sky that's going to kill me. It's just who I am.
Right.
I think it's important that people, at least in my life, or if you're in somebody's life similar to me, like it's important that you know that it's not, there's literally nothing anybody could have done. Like people could have kidnapped me and taken me out of state and said, you're not marrying this man. And I would have been mad at them.
Right. So then it's something that you absolutely needed to learn. And maybe this whole thing is going to take you somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to elevate you. That's how I see things.
Yeah. Every person that I know that has been through like a traumatic divorce or like a traumatic a divorce had that same like thought the morning of the wedding. But I have to. Like, we're too deep in at this point. Like, there's nothing we can do about this.
Right.
Like, even like standing, and everything for me was like, my family was chaotic and people were chaotic around me and like everything was fighting and all of this nonsense. I was just, but we just have to get through it.
Right.
Like, once we get through it, then like, it'll be fine. This is all going to be fine.
I don't want to kick dirt on you, but you renewed your vows.
I was there for that.
Yeah. Listen, no judgment. I've been married and divorced twice.
I just remember one of my friends getting married, and I remember the best man up there saying the speech, "We're here to support you." And that ended in divorce in 2 years. But all of us were like, don't do it to him. And it was a guy. And he went through with it. It was a big to-do. Yeah. And when it ended, we were like, oh,
but none of us had the thing that she just had.
Right. But that's how you learn. Right. That's how you learn.
I didn't mention when I walked down the aisle, you know how you have your makeup done heavy for pictures and stuff? Yeah. I had never used fake eyelashes before or anything. I walked down the aisle. First thing he says to me is, "You've got some shit on your face." What is that shit right there?
At the altar?
At the altar, right there in front of freaking everybody. And I was like, why am I still standing here? I almost started crying because I was mortified. Here's the thing. I don't like being the center of attention. I don't like being in front of people. And I was really uncomfortable being in front of people. Like, it was still our family, right? That was the first thing he said. And the girl marrying us was a girl that I work with who was just an ordained minister. And she just like looked at me and was like, okay, you look beautiful. Let's get this started today. And I was like, so that's how my marriage started.
That's fucking tough.
Yeah.
I hate that so much.
That I'm actually like my jaw is like on the floor. Like
I know,
I'm
because
fucking shocked.
Usually, like the groom, like is like, oh, taken aback from how gorgeous, right?
One job is to fucking say I look pretty. Mm-hmm. Like even if I look like a turd sandwich, you have one fucking job, and to say I look pretty.
Yes.
So then he like makes up for it by, he always hated my engagement ring. He always thought it was too small. I didn't care. I was just glad that he'd never bought me jewelry really in our relationship. Like, he never bought me anything I really liked. He would buy me things that were like towels for the kitchen, or like, you know, like stupid shit that you don't really want.
Yeah.
He hated the engagement ring. And I used to tell him, like, it's fine. I don't care about how big it is or how much it costs or anything like that. So then when we said our vows, he pulled out this big 10-carat ring. And I was like, oh, like he like actually, don't get excited. It was a cluster diamond ring. Like, it really wasn't worth shit. Impressive.
We were all like, what? I'm like, where did he get the money for this fucking ring?
Yeah, well, when mommy, you know, just supports your every need, I found out later on his mom paid for the ring.
Oh,
because
my God.
he couldn't even afford the ring.
Right. I think it's a sign when people are bad gift givers.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
I think, like, if you just can't even, like, get me on the level of, like, how to give me a small gift. I mean, it doesn't have to be, like, an extravagant gift, but, like, to understand what I like or what I would want or what I need from you is, I think that is, like, a very big red flag. Add it to the list, Cindy. Add it.
Yeah, and what's funny is I knew he was capable of it. So at the end, so like we'll get there, but like I initiated the divorce in August, right? He kept trying to give me Christmas presents, and I was like, I don't want them. So I kept giving them back. He snuck them into a package, and I had opened it, and it was jewelry that I loved. Like, I would have actually liked to wear this stuff, but I'm like, no, you don't get to get me stuff I actually like now. Like, I knew you were capable of it. You just never. Anyway, yeah.
Now, question: did you keep it as asshole tax?
No, because I didn't want him to have the satisfaction of knowing that I actually liked something that he gave me. It was a struggle, though. I had to give it to the police, and they were like, "Are you sure you don't want this?" And I was like, "Please take it right now. Like, please take it.
Please take it.
Yeah, get it out."
Wow. So let's jump ahead to how you got to the point that you felt the need to have a hidden camera in the house. What prompted that?
So, we were married in 2017. In 2019, he physically attacked me again, right? So he did it once when he was completely shit-faced and promised me it would never happen again. And they always promise it never happens again until it happens again. So in Michigan, we have these big cement, like, sinks in the basements for the laundry. And he had shoved me into that, threw me. I had a huge bruise on my back. Anyway, he like attacked me. I made the decision that day that this was over. This was done. He's only ever going to escalate. You know, it's not going to get any better. I didn't call the police because he used to tell me, you know, calling the police is the worst thing you can do, you know, and like, it was kind of a threat without being a threat, but it was a threat. So I called his dad, had his dad come take care of it. And I spent 2019 to 2020 really focusing on myself, figuring out what I want. He used to tell me that if I ever left him, I was fat, ugly, and disgusting. I would never find anybody else. I'd be alone forever. And he would be happy with someone else. You think you love this person and this person cares about you. And so why would they say something that's not true until you believe it? And so I had to do a lot of work about my self-esteem, fixing my self-esteem, and realizing that, like, at that point, I would rather die single than miserable with him. And so something clicked. You just have to wait for something to click, and then it clicked. So 2019 to 2020 was hard. And then 2020, I got furloughed from work because of COVID, you know, so everything shuts down. Well, I loved my job. I loved going into work. I would go in at 7 a.m. and not come home until 8 p.m., not realizing that was a trauma response because being at home was worse, but I would just go into work. And so being forced to stay home with your abuser was like the worst thing ever.
What'd you do?
What did I do for work?
Yeah.
I'm an executive assistant. And so at that time I was working for a company called Zenith. They supply football equipment. So when COVID hit and football got hit and they weren't sure if it would come back, you know, they had to downsize quite a bit. So, but I loved my leader, my boss that I supported. He was great, married, 3 kids, but we got along so well. I got along with his wife, his kids, like it was a great relationship. and my ex hated it. And so I was furloughed in April. My birthday was in May. My boss shows up at my house to surprise me for my birthday with his wife and his youngest daughter, who was 5. So it wasn't like inappropriate by any means. And shows up with balloons and a cake and a bottle of wine. And his daughter's got like these poppers and she's popping them, wishing me happy birthday. And my ex just sat there and glared and was so rude and disgusting towards them. I had to keep apologizing. I was like, I'm really sorry. And he knew. He was like, are you okay? I was like, no, I'm not okay. Like, this is the worst thing in my entire life. And so the rest of my birthday was just really shitty towards me, and had promised to make me dinner and wasn't going to make me dinner now because I had somebody surprise me and show up at the house. And he was like, you knew he was coming. And I was like, I literally got a text when he was around the corner that said, come outside. I said, I had no idea he was coming. It's fine. August of 2020, I told him I wanted to file divorce papers. I tried to leave in April of 2020. I wanted to go down to my sister's for a few weeks. She lives in Missouri. I said, we need a break. This isn't working. Like, this is too much at once. Not only have I lost a job, and he's telling me you better figure it out. How are we going to pay these bills when he literally hasn't had a job the past however many years? So I tried to leave. He wouldn't let me leave, convinced me things would get better, whatever. So things would improve for like a month, like they do, and then go back downhill. And so I filed for divorce in like end of August, early September of 2020, paid the fee. It was like an $80 fee with the county, paid it, let it go through. And we had to show up in court that January. And he just told me, he's like, give me one more shot. Like, let me prove to you that I can be better. And I had always wanted to go Northern Michigan in the fall for their fall colors change, and it's just stunningly beautiful. And he's like, let me take you up north. And somehow he had money to do that. But when I needed money to help pay the mortgage, he told me, no, figure it out yourself. And I was like, oh, cool. He ended up being able to like woo me and wow me back in and make me think that things were going to be different because he was acting differently. And then that March, he fell and pulled his shoulder out, broke his foot, like fucked himself up pretty good, which I'm pretty sure I to this day wonder if it was on purpose, because I wasn't fully back in, but like I was almost there. And so him doing this required me to stay home. I had a vacation coming up, and I ended up canceling the vacation, and I had to stay home and take care of him because that's what you do as a wife.
So wait, you were back at work at that point?
So I had started a new job in August of 2020, at the end of August, but it was remote.
So you had a trip planned?
Yeah. So I was still an assistant. I had a trip planned to South Carolina, just to the beach for a couple days. And he was supposed to go with us and that with me and my dogs. And then he said that, he didn't really want to go. He wasn't up for going. And I was like, well, it's already paid for. Like, why wouldn't we go? Like, we're working remote the whole time, so I can work from the beach. My boss is fine with it. And then he falls and hurts himself and breaks his foot. And now we can't go at all. And now I need to be home to help take care of him. So to this day, I wonder if he did it on purpose. He took probably 3 months to recover. And then things were just shitty. Like, things did not, like, nothing ever got better. He just was really good at the smoke screen at making it seem like things were getting better.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, when I started putting cameras up, sorry, that was a long-winded way to get there. But in August, I initiated the divorce, and I said, this is it. Like, this is for real. I'm not doing this anymore. I was having, and I wasn't perfect by any means. Like, I was flirting with other people on the side. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't sleep with anybody. I didn't have full-blown affair, but in my mind, like, my mind was already there. And that wasn't fair to him, and it wasn't fair to me. And so I was honest with him, and I just said, this is where I'm at. I had told him in 2020 that, listen, I don't have the mentality of somebody that's married. I don't have the mentality of somebody that's in a relationship, and I don't see that changing. I'd like to see a therapist. And he made fun of me for it and told me, I don't need to talk to anybody else. Why don't I just talk to him? And I was like, because you're the problem, but that's fine. August, I went out to Washington State to see my family, and my best friend out there is married to this really incredible guy, and they have beautiful children together, and they have a really great marriage. And I came home to my shitty, miserable life, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I want what she has with her husband. I want that happy-go-lucky life and the kids and everything else. And so I just told them, I said, that, I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing. You're not treating me the way you should be treating me. So we're done. And I could feel the change in him. I knew the one thing that I could tell him that would really piss him off is that I cheated on him. And so I told him, I said, I've essentially cheated on you because I'm having inappropriate conversations with other people. And it worked, right? Because I had tried everything else in the past. I tried the I'm not happy, you're not happy, we're not happy together. I tried, maybe we just need a break from each other. And it just, nothing would get this guy to leave. And everybody always tells me, oh, you shouldn't have told him you were leaving first. That's how you got in the position you were in. And that was my house. I bought that house. My name was on the house. He refused to put his name on any of it. That was my fucking house. He was going to move his happy ass out, go live with his dad up the street, and get the frick out of my house. And so that was my intention in telling him, you need to leave. And so he immediately started going through and packing shit and making phone calls, telling everybody what a whore I am. And I'm like, that's fine. You can say whatever you need to say. And he called his dad. His dad lives like a mile and a half up the road from where my house was. He was like, I need to come stay there. I can't be in this house with her anymore. And it's like, thank God. Like, that's all I wanted. I want you out. That's all I want. He would sleep on it and then wake up and he's like, I forgive you. And I was like, that's nice. I don't forgive you. Yeah. I don't forgive you for literally everything you've put me through. The verbal abuse. He would stand in doorways and scream and yell at me and not let me out of the doorway or let me out of the room. He would he would come wake me up at 3 a.m. and just start fights and arguments with me. And I was like, listen, I realize you don't have to work, but I do.
Right. And you guys didn't sleep in the same bedroom, right?
No, you can judge me. That's fine. I judge myself. The last 9 years of our relationship, we didn't sleep in the same bed. And he says, because when he got out of jail, none of the beds were comfortable anymore. So he would sleep on the couch. And so the master bedroom was like my safe space. It was my domain. But that meant that he was sleeping on the couch in the living room. So I couldn't get up in the morning and go into the living room, have a cup of coffee and watch the news. I couldn't go in and like open up the blinds and start I had to stay in my bedroom until he would wake up. And if I woke him up on my way out the door for work, God save me, because it would be the worst thing in the world. I'm like, bro, you don't work. Like, I don't understand. Like,
oh my God. If someone was sleeping on my couch while I got up and went to work every morning, the ruckus I would make.
Oh my God.
On principle. I mean, I would be like fucking,
running the vacuum cleaner.
It would be like a fucking front row seat in Stomp. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I'd have trash can lids on my feet. Like, bum, 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 down the hallway. Like,
hell yeah. Also, like, as soon as she leaves, he can just go right the fuck back to sleep.
Oh my God, I would fucking leave for work, drive around the block, come back, fucking ring the doorbell and drive. Like, you would never sleep. You wouldn't get an ounce of fucking sleep in my life. Like, I'm just I can't. It's making me like residually mad for you.
Yeah. I would like accept it and just think like, oh, that's just us. Like, we're just quirky. Like, we're different. That's just us. Like, that's okay. And then I'm telling you, something snapped in me 2019. And I was like, no, that's not okay. That's not normal. We're not doing that anymore.
Right.
So I initiated in August of 2021. Like I said, he tried everything. He said, I forgive you. We can work through this. And I was like, I'm glad you forgive me. I don't forgive myself, one, for putting up with you this long. And two, I don't forgive you for putting me through all of this. Right. Like, I'm not there and it's not going to happen. And so he finally, early September, got a job. Shocker. I was wow. I knew you could get a job. And so in his mind, if he went and got a job, maybe I would stay. Right. And so I was like, no, that's not how this is going to work. But like, I'm proud of you for getting a job. I told you were capable of doing it. I had several recordings on my phone of just the abuse. And so in Michigan State, it's legal as long as I'm part of the conversation, right? So if I'm the one being yelled at, I can record it without him knowing. And so I have hours of audio and visual recordings of him just yelling at me, him swinging at me, hitting the wall or the door above my head. I've taken it to the police. I've made a police report. There was one day we were standing in the kitchen and he was standing like right next to me. I was just trying to make breakfast on a Saturday morning for myself. And he would not just stop hounding me. And I was like, you need to take a few steps back. Like, please just step back. Like, he's like, we need to have a conversation. And I said, that's fine, but you don't need to be right next to me. Please take a few steps back. And he's, you fucking bitch. If you want me to step back, make me. And I was like, no. So I was like, I'm going to call the police. He goes, fine, you fucking bitch. Call the fucking police. See what the fuck they're going to do. I was like, okay. So I went into my bedroom, closed my door. I have a dog that's special needs. He has seizures and they're stress induced seizures. So if he and I started screaming, yelling at each other, my dog would have a seizure. And so he hasn't had one since November, which is when my ex and I separated. So that's good. But so I called the police and they came out. I stayed outside because my ex went through and started locking all of the doors, closing all of the windows because he's very anti-police. He's got a record longer than anybody probably should. He has fled from the police. He's very vocal about being anti-police and anti-cops and all of that. So I went outside and was talking to the police and they were like, well, are you hurt anywhere physically? And I was like, not physically, but like emotionally and mentally. Yeah. I said, I don't feel safe with him here. And they said, well, we can't do anything until there's physical abuse.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I fucking hate that so much.
I was just like, well, like I have these recordings. Can you listen to these recordings? And my ex had then started recording him, like pulled out his phone and started recording our conversation with the police. And I was like, you can't legally do that. Like, you're not part of this conversation. You can't record us. And he's like, I'm recording for my own safety. I'm like, bro, you're a 5'9" white guy. What safety do you need? Fine. Anyway, so that was the response that I kept getting from the police, was that they couldn't do anything unless there was physical. The visual recordings that I had didn't show him lunging towards me and things like that, because those were audio recordings that would have those incidences in them. Are you familiar with the Marco Polo app? It's kind of like Snapchat. But okay.
Yes. Yeah, I am.
I use that to video chat with my girlfriend that lives in Washington State. And so she's 3 hours behind me. So when my ex was at work, I would go into the kitchen and like talk on Marco Polo with her and just tell her everything, because I finally hit the point to where I'm not hiding things about my relationship anymore. I'm going to tell all. And I would tell her everything. I would tell her what I was doing. I started downloading apps and was dating. And like, I didn't give a shit. I gave zero shits because this man for so long told me, if you leave me, you're fat, ugly, and disgusting. You'll be miserable the rest of your life. You'll never find anybody. And I was like, I'll show you. So I started dating apps and like going out. And I didn't want to jump into a serious relationship. I just wanted to prove to him and myself that like, I can go find another guy. Like this. He would start repeating back to me pieces of those conversations. And I was just like, how do you know these things? Like thinking to myself, like, he knows where I'm at when I'm not at the house. Like I'd come home. Oh, did you have fun at this place? Or did you have fun hanging out with this person? I'm just like, how, like I would ignore him and I wouldn't respond to it. But I was like, how the fuck do you know all of this shit? Because I had stopped communicating with him. I'd stopped telling him things. We would only talk about things for the dogs or things for the house. And that was it. We were still living together, coexisting together, I guess. But I just could not figure out. I had my car searched by the police for a bug. I had it searched for air tags. I had my brother go through and tear the inside of my car apart. I was like, I don't know how he knows these things. So after the first police incident where they told me I didn't have enough physical proof, I started Googling like small cameras. I was like, what can I put up that will protect me in the event of a physical attack or him like coming at me and trying to swing at me or threaten me or however it is, because that has to hold some weight somewhere.
Right.
So I was Googling these images and this little camera, the wall plug for your phone charger, right? Just like that cube piece that goes in, that popped up on there. And I was like, I've seen that before. And so I was like reading about it. And what it is, it's a hidden camera. So it looks like the cube that plugs into the wall. And then it's got a teeny tiny little lens in the front of it. And on the back, there's a sticker that covers where the memory cards and stuff go. Reading about this camera, it only uploads the most recent 8 hours of video and audio. And I was like, this is so weird. Like, I swear I've seen this in my house somewhere. Like, what the fuck? And so I waited the next morning for him to leave for work because his shift was like a 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. shift. And so I listened for him to leave. And I'm walking around my house, and sure as shit, he had gotten one of those cameras and plugged it into my dining room, which is like connected to my galley kitchen, and was spying on all of the conversations I was having with my girlfriend. And he would come home from work, go into the kitchen, unplug it, and very nonchalantly, like so that I wouldn't pick up on it. And it was sitting there for a good, I mean, I found it in the end of October, early November. So September, October, 2.5 months.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, this is some bullshit. Like, so it made me feel less crazy. I was like, this is how he knows everything. And he would sit there and upload all of the recording onto his computer and go through it and listen to literally everything. And I was like, two can play this game. If you're going to hide cameras, I'm going to get a better camera. And so I got a Ring camera. So Ring makes these. Everybody keeps asking me, what kind of spy camera is it? I'm like, it's literally just a Ring camera. Like, it's nothing special. It's just a Ring camera. But I had started packing a lot of my stuff because I had every intention of selling that house and getting the frick out. Like, there was no way he was going to know where I live ever again. And so I had started packing boxes and had boxes packed or stacked in the dining room. And that's where he had his thing plugged in. So because I knew it only uploaded the most recent 8 hours, when my Ring camera, I got it delivered to myself at work so that he wouldn't, intercept it. It was a cordless one. It was battery operated and the battery lasted a long time. And I got up, I heard him leave for work. I got up, I figured it out. I put it right in the box and like the hole that it's peeking out, it was just the handle of the box. So it's just a regular U-Haul box. And I jimmied it in there and made it stick. And he had no idea it was there. And so my intentions with the cameras were a lot of our fights are happening in this area now because that's where I had multiple escapes. I had the back door that would go out into the backyard, or if we were switched, I could go out the front door. There was two entrances. My house kind of circled around. So like there was an entrance to the living room and then an entrance to the office off the kitchen. So there's like a circle. So it was my safe space for us to have an argument because no matter where we were, I had an out. And so my intentions were get a camera, put it up in the dining room and catch him doing something to you. Not that I wanted to entice it or instigate it and purposely make him do something to me, but he did a really good job at setting himself up for failure. And so my hope was that he would do something stupid and then I could take that to the police and say, listen, look, help me, please, like do something. And I caught much more. That's why I put the camera up. That was my intentions of having the camera. And I didn't imagine that I would catch him tampering with my food.
Okay, so the day that you caught him tampering with your food, you were preparing some pies to take to Thanksgiving dinner, right? Had you maybe thought that he was doctoring your food prior to that?
Yeah, I a couple weeks before Thanksgiving was telling my girlfriend, I was like, it is like the weirdest thing. If I eat at home, I'm so violently ill, like instantly in the bathroom puking or otherwise. I have these horrible headaches. I kept getting these waves of like, I'm going to pass out of nowhere. I would wake up in a cold sweat and not be able to move because I felt like I was going to pass out. I was like, but if I eat like McDonald's, I feel fine. If I go to Taco Bell, I feel fine.
Damn, Taco Bell and McDonald's had you all right.
I would go out to a restaurant with my friend and come home with leftover food and eat it the next day and be so sick. But I was fine the night before. And so I was just like, it's so weird. And she's like, well, maybe it's stress because that's a possibility, right? I'm drinking a lot. And so I explained it away. I thought maybe it was stress. Maybe it was my anxiety getting the best of me. Maybe it was this. Maybe it was that. But like, it was weird to me that it had escalated like September, October. And then I hadn't felt sickness like that before. I had felt similar instances in the past. But again, you blame it on your period or you blame it on your anxiety or, hey, you got a lot going on at work and that's why you're not feeling great. And so I always had a reason that I could explain it away.
Right.
Yeah. The pies, I had made them. I make pumpkin pies from scratch every year. It's my brother's favorite thing. I make them out of the stupid little pumpkins and it's amazing. I had told him we host Thanksgiving every year. We had hosted all of the family holidays because we had the space to do it. And I love hosting events. And so I had told him that year, I said, I'm not going to be here for Thanksgiving. Don't count on me. Go do something else. And so I had made the pies that night. And then that morning I got up. We were going to go to the parade in Detroit and look at the runners and just go to the Thanksgiving Day parade. And it was weird that he was awake so early. And so I'd gotten out of the shower, got into my bedroom to like finish getting ready. And I heard him up walking around and I was like, that's weird. And I could hear that he was like messing in the kitchen, like with the drawers and stuff. And I was like, what is he doing? And if you look at the video, you can see that he's like trying to act nonchalant, like he's got a purpose in there. When I opened up the app on my phone, was when he was looking around the corner to see if I was coming out of my bedroom.
That was so sinister.
And it was so creepy because I was just like, why are you being so weird? I just kept watching it. I don't know why. Listen to your gut. Like every time I'm listening to my gut moving forward, but I just sat and watched it and like watched him like pat his pockets looking for whatever it was that he put on there. He gently lifts up the foil. Everybody keeps posting like, oh, maybe it was helping improve this or maybe it needed
fuck all the way off.
like, oh, maybe it needed some powdered sugar. I'm like, no, it's a pumpkin pie. It's fine. So, and he goes to town and you can't zoom in on the app on TikTok, right? But on my phone, I can zoom in and it's a little clear bottle. And he's just going to town all over the pie. And I just sat there like, what do you do? Like, you can't, like, you don't know what it is. It's obviously not something he wants me to know about. He's just being sneaky. Like, it's just weird. And I was looking at it and I was like, I wonder if that's why I've been so sick. Like, I wonder if he's been putting something, he claimed to be lactose intolerant. So I'm all about my ice cream. I'm pretty sure he was putting stuff in my ice cream. Pretty sure he's putting stuff in my milk, my coffee creamer, because he didn't drink coffee. He would put it, I'm guessing, on my food and stuff that I would eat later on, because he wouldn't touch my leftovers anymore. He used to go through and eat my leftovers.
That's
dare you.
Red flag.
God damn it. That's like 50 red flags right there.
Don't you ever eat my fucking leftovers.
Not the leftovers.
And he would pick and choose what leftovers he ate and when. But like, this man was a garbage disposal. He'd eat almost everything. And so it was just like, it was weird.
The restraint you have to not go out there and stab the life out of him when you see him poisoning your food, because I would have been like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I would have totally lost it.
Right. And alleged.
Yeah,
this is allegedly. This is, I just want to go on the record.
I mean, the full restraint, like, truly.
I flinched. I wanted to so bad. I'm not a very confrontational person, but I have found that, like, through this process, standing up for yourself isn't necessarily a bad thing. And so I wanted to go for it. But then I have flashbacks of back in 2019 when he attacked me. It didn't matter how much adrenaline was going through me, could not get him off of me. Right. I'm thinking about my dog who gets these horrible seizures, and I didn't want to throw him into a seizure. And it's the holidays. So if I call somebody, like, who's going to be there to help me? And so there's a lot of scenarios going through, and, I knew that if anybody could help me and tell me what to do, it would be my brother and my best friend. And that's who I was going to see anyway. And so I finished getting ready like nothing happened. I went and picked up the pies and put them in a bag. And I was strategic about it. I put the one that you see him putting stuff on was on the bottom. And I made sure I kind of pushed down so that whatever was on it would get on the foil too, so that they could use the foil and the pie. And then I noticed that there was a puddle of something on the stove right behind the pie, like it had spilled over a little bit, or that he had like missed the pie and accidentally got it down there. So I took a paper towel and I mopped that up and I put it all in a bag and tied it together. And as I'm leaving, he said, I'm making Thanksgiving dinner for myself. So if you'd like to come home for dinner, there'll be food here. Totally acted fine, acted like there was nothing happening. And I said, go fuck yourself. And I left. So, I mean, that was as kind as I could get in that moment. And I had a key to my best friend's place. My brother was meeting me there. And my brother pulled up the same time I did. And I was like, I don't know what just happened. And so I let him see the video. He was like, we need to go to the police. Like, we need to do something. And I was like, yeah, but we're supposed to go to the parade. Like, I want to go to the parade and have a good time. Like, I don't want him to ruin yet another holiday, because he would ruin all of my holidays. My birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, everything. And I love the holidays. And so I walked into my best friend's place. He's still in bed. And I was like, I've been poisoned. My pies are poisoned. And he like jumps up out of bed. He's like, excuse me. And I was like, you need to get dressed because we have some shit to take care of. So I tell him the whole spiel. And I was like, but we have brunch reservations that we need to go meet first. Like, we need to go have brunch and then do the parade. And then, you know, we'll figure it out from there. And so I had emailed my lawyer and told him what happened. He's like, you need to take it to the police. And so we didn't stay for the parade. We went and had brunch and went to the police station, and I brought them the pies. And I told them, I was like, I'm pretty sure I was just poisoned, and here you go. And so they were like, what are you talking about? And so I showed them the video, and they're like, you need to email that to us. And these cops are like coming out of the back out of nowhere to see this video. And they're like, oh my God, this is so crazy. This is insane. Like, this is a Dateline episode. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, this is my life. They're like, we've never seen anything like this before. And I was like, neither have I. And they go, what do you want us to do about this? Go get him.
And that's coming from a cop.
What do you think I want you to do?
I mean, your job.
One of the police that were sitting at the front desk was one of the ones that had responded to my house twice now. And I was like, bro, help me out. Like, you've been to my house. You've interacted with my ex. Like, you've seen, what do you think I want you to do about this? I want you guys to go get him. Like, he doesn't know about the camera. I said, so if you can't go and arrest him right now and get him out of my house, then you need to come up with a better way to approach this. I said, because I still have to live there at the end of the day. And if he knows that I have this camera, it's going to make my life a living hell.
Right.
And they were like, well, we can't really do anything because for all we know, he's just putting water on here. And I was like, damn well that is not water.
So here's my question, Sarah. Have they tested the pies?
I don't know. I have sent them to the states. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, and nobody knows what the process is on anything, is what I'm learning. So I took them to the police, and they said, all right, we'll have these tested. We'll have results in about a week. I'm like, great. Like, that's quick. That's fine.
Yeah.
A week is fine. And so I left it with them, and they said a detective will be assigned to your case, and they'll reach out to you, and we'll go from there. And if it comes back as anything, then we'll go arrest him. And I was like, perfect. That's all I needed. I found out from a detective, because this is, again, Thursday, Thanksgiving. So I didn't hear from anybody until Monday. She goes, no, it's not that fast. It's not like the TV shows, it takes time. She's like, it can take about, a couple months. And I was like, okay, like I'm still going through the divorce process. What's a couple months? And she's like, well, I can't really tell. It could be a couple weeks, could be a couple months, but I'll get you updated. So what they didn't tell me right away was that the state has to agree to even take the pies and run the test based off of the evidence. And so the power of TikTok. So my best friend, Kevin, that lives here, is the one that I bombarded and woke up that morning. And he has a friend through TikTok who has a friend through Xbox Live. So he was talking about my story on his TikTok Live. She's talking about it with her friend on Xbox Live. And he was like, her friend was like, I've seen that video. He's a police officer in my city. And turns out because of my friend's friend and the connection there, called the state over and over and over and said, you need to take these pies. You need to open this case. You need to do this investigation. And because, from what I understand, of his persistence, they accepted it. And that's the only reason they accepted it. The detective called me and said, good news. I was surprised that they actually accepted this because there's not a ton of evidence. And I was like, I have a fucking video. How is there not a ton of evidence?
Right.
She's like, but they accepted it. And, now we just wait. And I was like, okay. So he still doesn't know that I know that he did this. So I did not go back home. I went back home and packed clothes, but I did not stay at my house again that night because I was like, I don't know what else he could do to me. If he is willing to supposedly poison me, I don't know what else he could do. And all of the police there said that it looked like it was eye drops. They zoomed into the video, said it looks like eye drops. And so that's what I'm assuming, because that's what I thought too. And so I stayed, my best friend he manages hotels. And so he got me a hotel discount. However, I'm still court ordered to pay all of my bills on my house because
they're your bills.
Yeah. So I had tried to get him removed from my house through a protection order, and it was denied 3 times due to lack of evidence. And I was like, you literally have all of these audio recordings. I had 3 police reports now by the end of December, and they just kept getting denied. Had it been approved, he would have been forced to leave my house, and I could have moved back home and been with my dogs. It's so I understand there's a process, but they really don't care unless you're physically beat up or in the morgue. Unfortunately,
right, once it's too late. How many stories have we done where it's fucking too late?
Way too late, yeah.
So I was talking to the detective and I said, I need something to happen because my best friend was getting promoted. I'm excited for him, but I'm also mad because he's getting promoted to a different hotel chain, which means I'm losing the discount that I'm getting. Right. And I can't afford to pay full price at a hotel and my mortgage and my bills and all of this. And so I was like, this is the middle of winter. I'm about to be homeless living out of my car because I am not going to go live back at my house.
And it's your house in your name.
Yes. Yeah. He's nowhere. He's not on the loan. He's not on the deed. He's on nothing.
God, you should have turned the electric and the cable off, or something like that, make it as uncomfortable.
She couldn't.
The deal was we had to continue as we were before the divorce was initiated. And because I was paying for everything before the divorce was initiated, I had to keep paying for everything.
Also, a lot of people on TikTok, were like, well, why didn't you evict him and blah, blah, blah. And when you made the video, responding to that, during COVID, you can't evict people and there's a whole process and you explained that. And I was like, dumb people, man, to just make you look like you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or that you're not doing everything that you can.
Right. To get him out.
My thought was I'm gonna make this as uncomfortable as possible. I'm gonna turn the heat off. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but she couldn't.
You can't do that. I guess you can't. But like,
and a couple people said, "Oh, I would have had my brothers move in, or I would have had my cousins move," and like that's great, but like. I thought so. My stepdad is retired law enforcement. He was a California state prison guard for years. So like he could take care of some shit if he needed to. He carries a gun on him, and they're just in Missouri. And so my mom had told me he will drive up there and stay with you and stay at the house with you and make him uncomfortable. So I was talking it over with my lawyer, and I said that's an option. And my lawyer said it's not, because all my ex had to do was call the police and say, "This is my house. I feel uncomfortable with him staying here. He needs to leave." And they would order him to leave. And I was like, well, I'm uncomfortable with my ex staying at my house. And he goes, it doesn't matter because it's technically his house too. So like the law is
marriage. Ugh.
There's literally no fucking benefit to it.
There really isn't.
I mean, fuck, got maybe a tax break once in a while, but like honestly, what's the
is it really worth it?
Oh fuck.
Is it really worth it?
Only if you like each other.
Never.
Well, and I hated my dad so much because of the abuse he put me through. And I used to say, I'm only going to get married to change my last name. And so I got married and changed my last name. And that was a mistake. So don't
ever do that again.
Yeah. So mid-December, end December, I'm panicking because I have nowhere to go and nothing to do. And I don't know what I'm going to do. And I called the detective for an update because now it's been over a month. And she's like, oh, well, it can take up to 6 months for results to come back. I was like, why in the living hell did you not tell me this beforehand? It's like, I'm sitting here waiting for you guys to do something so that I can take action on my end. And you're just not telling me it can take up to 6 months? Are you freaking kidding me? So we being me and my lawyer, decided at that time that we would send the video to my ex's lawyer and say, look, this is what homeboy's doing over there. You need to get your client to move out so that my client can move back in and we can finish this without trying to literally kill each other. And his lawyer's response was, that video proves nothing. We'll get it thrown out. My client's not moving out. And I was like, okay. So my ex's aunt was his lawyer's secretary. And so she gets to see the video too. So now it's making it through the family tree that he did this and nobody gives a shit. And so I tried again for a protection order. I tried twice before, and then I tried again with the video, and it was denied. And it was denied, but I was given a court hearing that I could go plead my case in front of the judge, in front of my ex, in front of the lawyers, and then open myself up to be cross-examined by his lawyer and torn apart by his lawyer in order to try and get a protection order. And so I took the court date and I was like, well, I'm going to try. Like, I don't really want to be cross-examined because I have severe panic issues and don't want to cry, but that's fine. So the day before we were supposed to have court, his lawyer finally reaches out and says, hey, you drop this court case. We'll give you written exclusive use of the house, which means he's not allowed on the property. He's not allowed to come over without my permission. He's not allowed to be like anywhere near me at that house. He's like, we'll give you exclusive use of the house and you drop this case and, you know, he'll move out. And I was like, that's all I needed. That's all I wanted. I need my house back because I'm going to be homeless. And so that was my focus. And I would get my dogs back because at this point he had my dogs. And so I took it. And it was probably stupid, but I took it.
Why was it stupid?
It was stupid because it only protected me from having him come into the house. It didn't stop him from contacting me through my phone, contacting me through text, through calling. It didn't stop him from mailing me stuff.
So it wasn't like a full order of protection. It was just an agreement that he would move out of the house.
Yeah, he would leave the house. Yeah. So he was ordered to remove his personal belongings, which he did not. And so he took like clothes and that was it. Probably something that he feels is valuable. But I was back in my house. I had my house back. I had my dogs back. I had a little bit of normalcy back. I had a stable place to live. And so I was feeling much better. And I went through and immediately threw out all of the food, all of the drinks. Anything that he could have touched was thrown away. I had the house searched for bugs, for cameras, for everything, immediately changed the Wi-Fi. So if he had anything connected to it, it would be disconnected. Felt a little better about life because I was in my house again. I was in a safe space. He didn't make it easy, that's for sure. He would continue to text me and call me. He knew he wasn't supposed to be there. So when he left with his personal belongings, he took some of my stuff too, on purpose, I'm sure. And had his nephew come and like drop some of it off. And it was just like bullshit that I didn't need. So I had told him just to like get rid of it, throw it away, burn it, do whatever you need to do. Like, I don't need it. I don't want to hear from you. I don't know how many times I told him, like, don't contact me, don't call me, don't text me, nothing. And he would just disregard that and continue contacting me, tell me he loves me. He'd write me poems and send him over. And
Oh, weirdo.
The fucking poem.
he's pretty gross.
So where are you now? Like, you know, in terms of the whole situation.
So I am currently living in a hotel, but I was able to sell my house. The divorce was finalized in March. We sold the house. Unfortunately, he got 50% of the house.
Oh my God. No, damn it.
Freaking prenup. I know. My little brother, he's like, I don't say this often, but I told you so. And I was like, fuck off. I know.
I can't believe that.
But I didn't have to pay him spousal support and all this jazz. So
Could you imagine? Could you? I would quit my fucking job. Could
What
you
a
imagine?
diva.
Oh my
Right.
God.
So we sold the house, bought my own house, but I can't move into that house just yet. The current owners haven't moved out. So I'm in limbo. So I'm living in a hotel again. But I have my dogs. I fought for custody of my dogs. So I have them. I have officially blocked him. So I didn't block him. Everyone kept telling me, oh, I block his number. I block his number. And I'm like, it's easier said than done, because if I block him, then I have to communicate with him through our lawyers, and lawyers are expensive as shit. Like I paid over $31,000 to my lawyer to get divorced. Yeah. I borrowed money. And then when I got money from the sale of my house, I had to immediately pay everybody back. So I'm like, I did not benefit from selling my house. I mean, I did, because he'll never know where I live, but I am still waiting on the state to give me answers. I check in with a detective once a month, and I'm pretty sure she's ready to strangle me, but that's fine. She has now told me that it could be 6 to 9 months for results, and it just seems to be getting pushed back more and more. So
Can we go over her head? Like, what the hell?
So that's kind of why I went to TikTok. I got tired of waiting. I got tired of being told over and over and over, like, oh, you're one of many. Like, oh, we'll get to you when we can get to you. You know, this, because in the meantime, he knows about the video. He knows I have the video, and he is being told you didn't do anything wrong, because the police never physically contacted him about it. The detective called him on the phone and said, would you like to comment about this? And he said no. And that was the end of the conversation. I said, did you think he was going to confess? Like, did you think he was going to come out and tell you all these wonderful things that he did to me? Like, you're going to call him on the phone instead of show up and like physically talk to him? Are you kidding me? He showed up at the house in February, and I had to call the police. So I have 4 police reports on him, and still nothing. I have this video of him tampering with my food, and still nothing. So yeah, he's an overall piece of shit. But I was supposed to talk with you guys last week, right? And so I had to continue to communicate with him about the sale of the house, because we were court ordered that if anything broke or needed repairs after inspections were done in the house, that we had to split the cost of that 50-50. And it was cheaper for me to deal with him directly than to go through our lawyers. And so that's what I was doing. And so I had texted him, and I said, listen, you will have a key at 10 a.m. Tuesday. You need to be out by this time on Friday, and the new owners are taking over. What he didn't know was that I was having cleaners come through and clean the house and making sure that the house looked presentable. So we go over there Saturday, and I show up for the cleaners, and I had put everything nicely for him and made sure it was organized, and that all he had to do was come move everything out. He decided that he was going to just trash the house. Took baseball bats to a TV, shattered glass everywhere. He had a deep freezer in the basement that had meat in it from, I didn't touch the deep freezer the whole time I lived there. So whatever was in there was there when he was there. He took the meat out of the freezer and threw it all over the basement floor. So my basement reeked of rotting meat. Broken glass everywhere in the basement. He was a hoarder. He would get storage units through like auctions and go to estate sales and buy random shit. And so like all of that shit was in my house and in my garage and in my basement. And all of that stuff remained there. He took what he felt was valuable and left everything else for me. Broken glass all over the garage. Trashed the place. So I was calling my realtor, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And she said, well, if you don't clean it out, not only can they keep your escrow deposit, they can come after you for more money, because it's in the contract that you will clear everything out. And because his name's not on in the house anywhere, it's my responsibility.
Oh my God.
And so I was like, this is fabulous. And so I am dating somebody now. My now boyfriend knows my situation. I met him when I worked at the airport 10 years ago. And so me and my ex, we all worked together. So that's another story. But before I could even finish like showing him the shit show that was my house, he's on the phone calling people to come help us clean it out. And we got it cleaned out and we got everything on the curb. And I opened the garage up and posted in our Facebook page for our neighborhood and was like, come take whatever you want. It's fair game. Take anything. So
Wow.
I'm officially done with him though, until these results come back on the pies and I can ideally press charges and go from there.
I really kind of hope he goes down.
Yeah, truly.
I fully believe in karma. So karma will get him.
Yeah, absolutely. So we didn't get to record with her last week.
Yeah.
And so we, as you know, we have food for the podcast. And so we ate the food last week. But what we didn't tell you yet, I guess we should probably tell you before it airs, is that we had a Thanksgiving meal and we had pumpkin pie.
I love it.
We were like, oh, this feels wrong.
No, you're setting the mood. It's perfect.
So we wanted to let you know before
you hear it.
And I promise I didn't poison them.
That's the inside joke now with all of my friends. Anytime their spouse or somebody pisses them off, I'll send them like a thing of eye drops being on sale. And I'm like, they're on sale. Go get them. I cleaned out my house and found 2 bottles of eye drops that I'm assuming was what he was using.
Oh,
And
motherfucker.
so I kept it, but I sent my friends a picture. I'm like, anybody need these right now? Are we good? Yeah.
How like juvenile though to like poison you with eye drops, if that's what it is, right? Allegedly,
Right.
if that's what it is. But like that's like something a 7th grader would do. It's not even like sophisticated, like,
Right, yeah.
You know,
But it's-
succinylcholine or whatever I was talking about last
It
week.
definitely makes you very uncomfortable, as she can tell you.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, stupid, but smart because they're odorless. They don't smell like anything. They don't taste like anything. They don't change the color of anything. So like when I was researching it, it was like, oh, there's a story from 2020 and this lady like killed her ex-husband by putting it in his water. And I was like,
Eye drop?
yeah.
Wow.
What? I didn't know they could kill you.
Yeah. If you ingest, so through my research, if you ingest enough of it, it can kill you. And I was like, I'm not about to go die over eye drops. So yeah.
Wow.
Damn. What does his family think about all this?
It's interesting. So he had a cousin, the cousin of the aunt that's his lawyer's secretary, right? The daughter reached out to me and said, hey, when I heard you were divorcing him, I cheered for you. You deserve better. He's a piece of shit. He's always been a piece of shit. Good for you. And I said, yeah, I was kind of hoping that more people would reach out to me and support from the family because I was so involved in their lives for 12 years. Like they took me in as their own. I said, but after I sent the video, I knew your mom had seen it and likely shared it with people. Like, I just didn't hear anything. And she goes, I haven't talked to this was in March. She's like, I have not talked to my mom since she showed us that video because my mom saw the video and said that you were still in the wrong for divorcing him and leaving him.
Ew.
And I was like, so they can watch that video, see that he's being sneaky and doing something and still be mad at me for divorcing him and leaving him. And his aunt has all of the recordings that we turned in, all of the police reports. Like she knows all of the stuff that's going on. And I know she's taken it to his mom and the rest of that family tree because that gossip gets through there like crazy. So I'm like, I know they know about it. His mom had texted me early on before this video, but early on and told me that this definitely won't be my last divorce. And how dare I leave her son? And I was like, if your mom contacts me one more time, we're going to have problems. So they take his side from what I understand, except for this cousin who has reached out to me and said, if you ever want to grab drinks or anything and talk, she's like, I'd still love to stay in contact. She's only, I think she's a year older than me. So we're the same age. But no, other than that, it's been radio silence from his side of the family.
Damn.
It is interesting when there's only one sane person. Like after you get away from it, you're like, oh my God, everyone was crazy.
There's a reason why somebody comes out of a family acting that way.
Yeah.
It's because they're enabling it, they're pushing it up, and they're making it worse.
Yeah,
you know,
they're making everything okay.
Right?
I mean, they let him live in the basement. She put food on the table for him every night. Like, my God,
and wouldn't even care if she ate.
Right? Yeah.
I'm so scared that I'm doing this to my son.
The more research I've done on like narcissistic personality disorder and just like the mental illness behind it, I'm like, it's his mom. So it's him and his mom, and they just feed off of each other because his parents got divorced. I was dating him for 3 or 4 years. And so like I saw his parents married and then I saw his parents divorced. And I was like, his dad had to have gotten tired of his mom's shit. And like, that's why they got divorced. And I understand now, because his dad was the most sane person. And I just, yeah, him and his mom, she pays for everything. She makes sure that he's taken care of. And just like, I'm like, you're the problem. You two need to go live on an island together. That's what
not causing a bunch of damage to anybody else. You know?
Wow.
Oh my God.
Well, you seem good.
Yeah, like I said, I've been doing, it took me a long time. It took me 3 years to work up the courage to actually get out and leave and stick to it. But in those 3 years, I was doing a lot more research on mental illness and how I'm reacting to it. And no, the abuse I was going through was not normal, like he made me believe. And I did a lot of self-reflecting, and I started putting myself first more often, right? Yeah. So if I wanted to get my hair done, I went and got my hair done. If I wanted to do my nails, I went and did my nails. Just little things like that he would normally get mad at me for doing. I just went and did it. And then I ran into my now boyfriend again back in December. And everyone comes for me for getting back into a relationship so quickly, but they don't understand I was done in 2019. Mentally, emotionally, I was done. And so I spent 3 years with a single mindset, living with a really shitty roommate, essentially is what it was. But he has just been super incredible. And I've started seeing a therapist, and my therapist is super supportive, obviously. And she's been really validating in, no, you're not crazy. Like, you really did go through some shit, and your thoughts and your feelings are valid. And so it's been refreshing. It's been really nice. It's been, I just feel like this huge like building was sitting on my chest, and now it's gone, and I can breathe, and I can do things that I want to do without fear of somebody yelling at me. My ex didn't believe in social media because the government was going to spy on us. And I was like, they literally have better people to spy on. But that's also why we weren't allowed to have security cameras in the house, because the government would hack them and spy on us. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure now that he's been doing things to me for a long time, and didn't want me to catch it on camera. So, but he didn't believe in social media, and I had posted the video on TikTok, and my shit blew up. I went from 110 followers to I have over 60,000 now. Holy I had shit. Made a video of, so my boyfriend now is a professional MMA fighter, and which is just perfect. I had made a video of his most recent fight of like him warming up and then him doing the fight. And like, it was just a nice little video that I made, and it had like 400 views, and now it's got 80,000 views. And so like, wow, my shit blew up. And when I posted it, I went live that night because I finally could. You have to have like over 1,000 followers to go live. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I can finally do it. And he had texted me, and it took me 2 hours to respond back to him because I didn't notice he had texted me. And he's like, what are you up to? And I was like, oh shit. Like, I got a shit ton of anxiety over telling him that I posted this on TikTok, and I went viral on TikTok because of how my ex would react to me in the past, right? My ex found out I just downloaded TikTok just to watch videos, and it was a 2-day long fight about how I don't care about his feelings. And so I got really nervous, and I told my boyfriend, I was like, well, I posted this video on TikTok and it really blew up, but like, if you're not okay with it, like, I'll take it down. And he was like, go get TikTok famous. He's like, you do you, girl, like, good for you. And like, was so supportive. And he's like, you go get TikTok famous and we'll live off of that for the rest of our lives. He's joking, obviously, but it was just a completely different reaction than what I was used to.
Also that thing where she says, well, if you don't like it, I'll take it down. Yeah. We need to stop talking like that. I'd learned too late in my life that I said, well, this is what's going to happen. Yeah. Get on board or you're going to have a problem. Yeah. Because I'm doing it no matter what.
You know, something else that you just said that really I think is so important for people to understand when you're trying to like untangle that spider web of a shitty relationship is like, it doesn't, while you may have that click that like, oh, this all clicks together and I'm going to end this, it doesn't end overnight. It takes so much time to build your confidence to leave, to build your strength to stay away, to not keep going back, to go to therapy and like learn how to heal and learn what is right for you and what you need and what you want. And like it may take, you know, years for you to actually leave.
Also to undo the living situation.
Yeah, to undo the living situation.
You know,
to
it's
undo
complicated.
The finances, to undo like just, you know, the emotional codependency that maybe you have developed over the years. And even like, it's so hard to be in a healthy relationship after. Like, someone's nice to you when you've been you know, even if you didn't think you were being treated like shit, but like someone treats you nice and you're like, ew, why the fuck are you talking to me like that? Like that has been a thing for me where I'm like, someone's nice to me and I'm like, ew, this is really gross.
You're like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, and you're like, why are you
they're
doing
lying
that?
to me.
Yeah, you're a liar. There's something wrong with you. Why are you setting me up? This is gonna fucking get me in 3 months from now. Like, and you know, it's just this whole. So like, I think that's so important for anybody who's like on the fence in a relationship, or anybody who's just like, you know, or has been miserable for years and just like, well, this is my life though. I was raised in a religious household and we just stick it through. Or you know, we're not supposed to get divorced. So I made a commitment. That was my famous fucking, we made a commitment. We made a commitment. And it's like, who gives a fuck? Like, if you're unhappy, who gives a fuck?
Right.
Take the steps, take the couple of steps. 'Cause like on the other side of it is like, even if you're by yourself, it's so much better.
Always be a bitch. Just that's the bottom line. Just
moral of the story. Just
always be a bitch. Always break hearts.
Just slay them.
Just fucking left and right. Just fucking not giving a shit what shrapnel you leave behind.
That is her stance. That's not my stance.
I appreciate the generations coming up so much because there is so much more awareness around mental health and body positivity, and these girls don't need these men. We were taught so much like, you need a man to rely. No, we fucking don't. Like, we can do this shit ourselves, and vice versa. Like, these guys that are putting up with these toxic women, like, no, like, get the fuck out. Like, it's just, it's crazy. And I mean, I had the conversation with my boyfriend right when we just started talking, and we had gone on a couple dates, and I told him, I said, I just got out of a really fucked up situation. Are you ready to take that on? You can say no. Like, it's going to be a progress or a process, because I'm going to need help mentally from people in my life. I said, so if you don't want to be part of that and you don't want to take that on, I fully understand and I'm not offended. You can dip out. And he said, no, we're going to take this one day at a time and we're going to get through it. He's like, this is 10 years in the making. So like, we met 10 years ago and this is 10 years in the making. And he's just, you can't see him. There's flowers back there, but he brings me flowers. My ex didn't believe in flowers because they just die. And I'm like,
I do not believe in flowers. They're a physical thing that exists in the world.
You're just so cheap.
I don't believe in these things that exist.
And he's like, well, I can make you happy. I'm like, yeah, okay. So my boyfriend now just like brings me flowers. And so I came home last night from the concert and he had brought flowers home, and I went in and I was like, oh, what are those flowers for? Like, why'd you get those? He was like, don't ask why, just say thank you. Like, I just am bringing you flowers. And I was like, okay, like, that's just weird, but okay. Like,
it's weird when people are nice to you.
Yeah, it's very different. But a lot of people are just like, well, I'd be too afraid to get back into a relationship and I wouldn't want to ever get married again. And I'm just like, no, like, just don't do it with the wrong person. Like, be brave enough and respect yourself enough to understand those red flags as they're happening, and don't cut off your friends and family, because that's what I did. I stopped telling them about my relationship because it was all bad. And I was like, man, they're going to think so poorly of him. And no, now my friends and my family get way more information than they probably want out of my relationship. And so just don't cut them off. Like, you have to keep them involved because they're going to see things that you don't see. And they're going to be able to tell you and have your best interest at heart.
Right. I think you said it best when you said just like listen to your gut. You know, if your body is telling you there's like some little thing in your spinal cord somewhere being like, hey man, something's wrong here. Like, back the fuck up, you know?
It's so hard to do that, though.
It's so hard to do that. And you really just like, you know, you have to build yourself up enough to trust yourself to be like, you know what's best for you. You know what you want. You know, love yourself, like exactly what you said. And it's so fucking hard to do that, but like, you deserve it.
Yeah.
Very hard to say fuck all the way off and walk away.
It's so hard. It is not easy. And people want it to be easy. And the second it gets hard, they just fall back into, because that's what I did. I just fell back into what was easy. It was easy to put up with his bullshit than to better my life.
Because you're kind.
Yeah.
Because you're kind. You need to practice bitch 101.
Yeah. Do you do lessons? I'll take lessons.
Tune into any episode. She'll oh my god. Do you have any like final thoughts, things you want to like advice maybe, or anything you want to say to like close it out?
I wish I would have had somebody like me to listen to their story and watch when I was going through this.
Yeah.
And so if you are going through something similar, fucking talk about it. Get it out there because you're not alone. I don't know if you've read all the comments on the video, but so many people have said I went through the same thing. I was poisoned by my ex. So-and-so poisoned my mom or my dad. Why are we poisoning people? First of all, like, why are we out there doing this?
Right.
But you're not alone. No matter how extreme you think your situation is, you're not alone. And if you think, oh, I've pushed my family away so much, they're not going to help me. They're going to fucking help you.
Right.
No matter how long it's been since you've talked. If you have a friend that you haven't talked to, and my best friend, I hadn't talked to him probably in almost 9 months to a year. And I called him crying my eyes out because I left the first time and I needed somewhere to stay. And he didn't even think about it, paid for me to stay in a hotel. So we hadn't talked in so much time. And it was like, I'm going to take care of you. So I know that people feel helpless and I know that you feel alone. And I know that it feels like it's never going to end. But when I was going through the process and I was like, God, this divorce is going to take 6 months. 6 months felt like so long. And now I've been divorced for 2.5 months and it feels like it was a lifetime ago.
A blip in time.
Yeah.
A blip in time.
And you're still so young, you know, you have your whole life ahead of you and you don't have to drag that anchor behind you. I just want to say thank you so much. You are such a lovely girl. I hope your TikTok blows up and takes you to the influencer level and you can just freaking live the fabulous life because of this experience. Because I feel like you're owed that, right?
I mean,
I appreciate it. No, I appreciate you guys reaching out and taking the time to talk with me and get my story out there. And hopefully we can help someone.
yeah. And if you, whenever, reach out to us if you get a
I'll give you the exclusive.
Yeah, we want an update. Definitely.
I definitely want an update. I'm dying to find out.
We're all following you. We're part of that 80,000 or whatever
Yeah.
it is. So
I appreciate it.
yeah, this is so wild. But we thank you so much for telling your story. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and continued success. Thank you for talking to us, Sarah. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It was so nice to talk to Sarah, and I mean, her story is just
It's very
Bananas.
wild. Yeah. I mean, relationships can suck.
they're tough.
It's so weird when you like trust a whole ass human and then they try to kill you or make you shit your brains out.
Yeah,
Both are very bad.
not fun.
Not fun.
Definitely not equal.
No, definitely not in the same ballpark.
No, but not fun. So yeah, that's it for us. We'll check you out next week. And in the meantime, you can subscribe so you don't miss out. And I also want to share the domestic violence hotline is 1-800-799-7233. And for those who want to text, it's text START to 88788. Again, that was START to 88788.
That's useful information.
Yeah. And just, your life is worth taking a leap of faith.
Oh my God. It's like, you know when they say the grass is not greener on the other side?
Yeah.
I really genuinely think this is the one instance when it is.
Yeah.
Like, it just is.
Yeah.
It's just, if you're unhappy, it's work to get to the other side, but you can be happy. You can be safe.
It's less work than staying in that relationship that's taking so much from you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's so...
And it's such a relief after.
Yeah. And and this is not, every relationship is not someone poisoning your fucking food.
Right.
You know, sometimes it's just someone being a little controlling. It's someone being abusive. It's mentally abusive.
And this is coming from, we shared a story, Megan, remember when we did her story? Yeah. She got a machete to the face from her ex.
I mean, it could just be, hey man, we've grown apart and this is not vibing right.
Exactly.
It's fine. It doesn't have to be an abusive situation. If you're not happy, you don't have to stay. And we support divorce fully on this podcast.
I mean, we're made of stardust.
Yeah, man.
We're made of the materials of the universe.
The clock is ticking. Enjoy your life.
Exactly. So, we didn't mean to put a damper on your day, but subscribe so you don't miss out. And we have other stories, such as the one that I just mentioned, Megan, and and other stories. Obviously, we do true crime and mysteries and things like that. So, I mean, we don't just cover domestic abuse and all that other stuff, but we do from time to time cover these kinds of stories because they're interesting. They're firsthand retelling of something tragic. You know?
Yeah. So, everybody gets a cool space to tell their story, and it's important that people get to tell it. It's healing for them. It's informative for us. It's a big deal.
So take this and write a review. Share this episode or others with someone. And you can connect with us literally everywhere social media exists.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all of the places. Check you out next week. And remember, do not get taken to the second location. Be good or be good at hiding the body. Cheers.
Are you okay? Jesus Christ.
Fucking loud.
You're disgusting and I hate you both. Oh, God.